Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Matrikon Data Broker How-To Guide. My name is Alexander Hein, and today I would like to show you on how to install the Matrikon Data Broker on Linux as a container. In order to do so, I will be following the instructions from our well-known Data Broker How-To Guide document here, and we'll be using the same instructions and commands. Okay, let me switch to the demo environment, which is fresh Ubuntu 22 image. And the only thing that I have prepared so far, I simply copied the Data Broker container image and the UA Explorer app image to my home directory. Okay, and in order to use this container image, we also need the container software, which I will go and install quickly here. Docker. Docker is the container software that we are going to use here. Has been successfully installed. Very good. Okay, and now we can start with the installation of the Data Broker container. And for the remaining steps, I will be using the shell here just to show you the actual commands. And the first step is to move to the directory of the container image. And here you can see the Matrikon Data Broker as a container image. And we now have to load this container image into the Docker software that we just installed. To do so, I will be using the docker load command, but to make sure that we have sufficient permissions, I will be always using sudo in front of the commands. Sudo docker load, then the image of the container here. And now you see the image has been loaded. So then the next step, once the image is loaded, is to create an instance of this image. So we're going to create a container, and the command is very simple: docker create, again with sudo. And now we need to provide some parameters for this docker create command. The first one is network, and we're going to use the host network. Then the name for the container, which I will simply call my MDB container. And the next parameter is the name for the Data Broker instance. Data Broker name. I will call it simply MDB. And I also have to provide a port for my Data Broker. And I usually use the port 55,000 for my Data Broker demos. Okay, we need one more parameter, which is the security level. Data Broker secure, and this will be 1, which means that we are not going to use any outdated security specification of the OPC connections. Last but not least, we also have to mention the image that we want to create an instance from. Here I will simply take the loaded image from our data broker container. Okay, the command looks fine. So let's fire it up. And you see it created a container under that string or ID. Yeah, so now we have a Docker container, and we just need to start this container to make it run. So again, sudo docker start and the name of the container, which is my MDB container. This is the one that we gave to our container in the previous command. And now we can start it off. Okay, it should be running now. We can double check it. There it is. Okay, so yeah, the container is up and running, and with it, our data broker. So we're actually done, but there's one more thing to double check or confirm on how to connect to this running MDB instance now. To do so, we require an OPC UA client, and I will be using the UA Explorer that I also copied to this folder. Simply run it. Before you start it, you have to ensure that this that you have sufficient permission to execute this application image. And when it's started, now we can go and try to connect to our data broker. So it's still running on a local host, and the specified port was 55,000. So let's see if we can discover it. Yes, here it is. And now I will try to connect to it with the default username, which is admin, and no password. Yeah, so let's try it out. And you see this is failing because of bad security check. Simply means that the data broker is not trusting the certificate of this UA Explorer. So the next step is to go and trust the certificate. And for the very first time, this needs to be done manually. And the problem here is we actually don't know the location of our certificate storage for the MDB because this is running in a container. So we have to first look up the location of our container. And the command to do so is sudo docker inspect the container name and then grep volume. And this returns us the actual location of our container, the directory. So let's check if we can get there and see what we will find there. I will simply go back to the root and then follow the path here. Var snap docker common var lib docker. And now volumes. And here is my container. And within this container, I also can see this PKI folder. This is the certificate storage, and we are looking for the application instance certificate. So I go for the default application group. And as we know that our initial certificate or connection attempt has been rejected, I directly go to the rejected certificates and can now find the UA Explorer certificate here. I simply cut and paste it to the trusted certificate folder. And yeah, go back to the Explorer and try again. And now you can see that we were successful in connecting to this data broker instance, which is running as a container on our Ubuntu. So this is pretty much it. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you find this video helpful, and goodbye.